just discussing the Brisbane housing market and why I believe it will not boom. There's been so many articles written lately and over the last few years saying that Brisbane is the next place to boom. You know, if you'd bought an investment house in Sydney in 2008, it would have more than likely doubled in price. Melbourne, very similar, but Brisbane's only had 22% increase in property prices in the last almost 9 years, which is only not much higher than the inflation rate. Now, why do I believe that? You know, a lot of people are saying that Brisbane's the next place to boom, and why do I believe it won't boom, but it's still a good place to invest? You look at Sydney. Everyone in Sydney wants to live, you know, close to the CBD, close to the water, close to the Sydney Opera House, close to the bridge, and then as you go further out, they're not cheap, they begin to get cheaper. Melbourne's the same. People want to live closer to the water, closer to the CBD, and as you go further out, you know, the demand decreases. You look at Brisbane, it's completely different than Sydney and Melbourne. Brisbane, you know, it's a very, it's spread out a lot more than Sydney and Melbourne. So some people want to live in the Gold Coast, which is a narrow way, and they can still commute to Brisbane CBD. Some people want to go further north and go to the Sunshine Coast. And then you've got the other cities in Queensland. You've got Mackay, Townsville, you've got Cairns, you've got Rocky, Gladstone. There's people don't necessarily need to live in the Brisbane CBD like they would for Melbourne and Sydney. So that is why the demand is not going to be there, because you don't need it. You know, when people move to Sydney, they want to get amongst it if they can. They don't want to live, you know, 2 hours away and have to commute in. Brisbane, you know, as I was saying, you can live a pretty incredible lifestyle living on the coast and still commute to Brisbane. So that's why I believe this won't boom. But in saying that, I still think it's one of the best places in Australia to invest. I still believe you'll get your decent increases, and there are good pockets in Brisbane that you will get your 10% per annum increase. But as a whole, it's the sort of place you can't shut your eyes and just point at a map and buy something like you could in Sydney and Melbourne. You know, just recently. It's something you've actually got to do a lot of due diligence and a lot of research to work out, okay, where are the areas that are most likely to increase. You know, I'm pretty sure that you could just pick anywhere and you probably get anywhere from 2 to 5% per annum increase. But if you're wanting to get the better returns, that's when you really need to know where to buy. But in saying that, you know, you can do that. You know, baby boomers are, a lot of them have retired, a lot are moving into retirement in the next few years, and a lot of them will move to Queensland for the warm weather and the lifestyle. They might have made a lot of money back in Sydney and Melbourne in the housing market, and now they want to downsize and they want to move to a sunnier location. It makes total sense. But they're not going to be forced to stay around Brisbane. They can head to the Sunshine Coast and Gold Coast. And that is why I believe it won't boom, but it's a great place to invest if you know where to look.